All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krueg Show with a little 49er video as Jeremy Fowler from ESPN weighed in with some specifics on what the Niner draft plan looked like on draft weekend. A little look back at what the Niners' philosophies and thoughts were. We'll get into that in just a second. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And we're also brought to you by LearnKey Upskill Academy. Great news for Krueg Show subscribers. Our sponsor, LearnKey, is offering a free cybersecurity course valued at $99. The course is titled Protecting Yourself and Your Organization. It's just 1 hour long and gives you essential tips to keep you and your company safe online. It's a limited time offer, so don't miss out. Click the link in the description of this video to claim your free course and start learning today at upskill.learnkey.com. All right, let's talk a little bit about Jeremy Fowler, ESPN's NFL insider, recently broke down the Niners draft strategy and the kind of the thinking behind targeting Mykel Williams over the other options there at 11. And, it's interesting. It's like John Lynch said, hey, we wanted to trade up. We wanted to trade up and we just couldn't get it done. So we stayed at 11 and we took Mykel Williams at 11. So according to Fowler, the Niners discussed trade options with the Carolina Panthers at number 8. And ultimately that did not materialize. But Carolina at 8 and the Niners at 11 were talking about a swap of picks. The Niners' desire was to get in front of the New Orleans Saints because they feared that the Saints wanted Mykel Williams from Georgia, and they couldn't get the deal done. And there were a number of teams, according to Fowler, he said he talked to a few teams that were picking high in the first round who wondered whether the Niners were moving up for an offensive playmaker. I think there was a lot of thinking that maybe the Niners wanted Teteroa McMillan, or maybe they wanted Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan. And so there was a lot of speculation that the Niners maybe were going to trade up for one of those guys. But clearly the guy that they wanted was Mykel Williams. And the Saints with the 9th pick had been linked to Mykel Williams. So the Niners at 11 thought, okay, let's trade with Carolina. We'll jump into the 8th spot. And that would allow the Niners to jump ahead of New Orleans just to be safe. But instead, they stayed put, and it all worked out as Mykel Williams fell to them at 11. Also, according to Fowler, the 5th pick in the draft, Mason Graham, considered the 49ers a potential landing spot for some reason if he slid into the back half of the top 10. So there was a lot of the people with Mason Graham felt like probably his agent probably felt like, hey, you know what? If Graham falls to 10, the Niners will take him at 10. Instead, he did not fall to 10, and the Saints did not take Mykel Williams at 9. And so he was there for the 49ers at 11. And the Niners took Mykel Williams at 11. And according to Fowler, he said Williams had top 10 buzz early on in the draft process. And then teams, as they got closer to the draft, started to knock him because he didn't have great production. He only had 14 sacks in 40 college games. And then he didn't run some 4.58 time that a lot of people were speculating. He ran 4.76 and 4.77. But you know what? When it gets time for the draft, as Fowler points out, things as you get closer to the draft, the athletic traits start to win out. And, how is not, it's suddenly it's less important to what a guy did, and it's more important to what a guy's going to do. So ultimately, Williams did not fall out of the top 15. He fell to the Niners at 11, and the Niners picked him at 11. And according to Jeremy Fowler, Mykel Williams' length and bend is among the best in the entire draft. And he thinks Mykel Williams is perfect for the 49er defense. Now, the other little nugget in here is also pretty interesting, and that is during the pre-draft period, the Niners' second-round pick, Alfred Collins, who played at the University of Texas, struck a connection with Niners defensive line coach Kris Kocurek. Collins played high school ball in Bastrop, Texas, which is less than an hour away from Kocurek's hometown of Rockdale, Texas. So, Kris obviously knew him and had a connection with the kid and really badly wanted him. So, it sounds like the beginning of the Niner draft, and we speculated a lot about this in the weeks going into the draft. Would this be a Kris Kocurek draft? Would this be a Robert Saleh draft? And it was interesting because the people that I asked that question to pushed back and said, no. It will not be a Robert Saleh draft. It will not be a Kris Kocurek draft. It will be a John Lynch draft. And this will be Lynch's call. And I get it. Lynch has the title. But I think it's pretty clear now reading this Jeremy Fowler piece and listening to, Robert Saleh and Kris Kocurek describe Mykel Williams as the best run defender among all the defensive ends in this draft. And then to hear that Kocurek was really sky high for Alfred Collins. And partially because, maybe he had a connection to him from Texas and where they're at in Texas. Maybe he knows some of the same people that know Collins. Maybe he just has a believer in the kid's psyche or mentality or play speed or, on-field ethic and that kind of thing. If you get a lot of this is about what kind of feeling do you have for the player. I was listening to Booger McFarland watching the draft, and when Alfred Collins, when it came time to come up with a comp for Alfred Collins, he said Chris Jones. And as all 49er fans listening to that had to have a huge smile on their face. If Alfred Collins is even 85% of Chris Jones, the 49ers got themselves an absolutely monster pick in the second round. So very interesting article by Jeremy Fowler. He basically said, hey, look, John Lynch and the Niners, they had action with Carolina at 8. They wanted to trade up. Teams thought they were trading up for T-Mac or Loveland. And in hindsight, it was pretty clear they were trying to trade up for Mykel Williams. It ultimately didn't materialize. Carolina probably asked for too much. They couldn't get in front of the Saints. And then the Saints did not go with Mykel Williams at 9. And so he fell into the Niners' lap at 11. And you heard John Lynch say to Chris Sims in an interview this week that he's like, you know what? We typically do better when we just stay where we're at, when we don't try to trade up and, try to dictate the terms of the draft. It usually works better for us when we just kind of play it as it comes to us. And that's what they did here. But they went Mykel Williams in the first round. They love his ability to play the run. And then Kris Kocurek had a comfort level with Alfred Collins because they're both from similar or nearby towns in the state of Texas. And Kris wanted his guy. I will say this. I think the Niners should listen to Kris. I really do. Last year, Kris was sky high for Evan Anderson as an undrafted player. They gave him almost $400,000 guaranteed. That kid showed 3-4 weeks later, once the season got rolling, once we got into camp, that this guy was a player. This guy could anchor. And this is probably their best young interior player that they have in-house right now, Evan Anderson. And that was a Kris Kocurek, vision. And so for Kocurek to, for them to defer to Kris for his opinions on these defensive players makes perfect sense. By the way, a couple other notes on Mykel Williams in an ESPN feature projecting the offensive and defensive rookie of the year candidates from the 2025 NFL draft. 4 of ESPN's NFL analysts chose Mykel Williams as their pick for defensive rookie of the year. The last 49er player to earn that honor was Nick Bosa back in 2019, but Stephania Bell, Pamela Maldonado, Ben Solak, and Lindsey Thierry all believed Williams is primed to make an immediate impact in the 49ers defense, and they have him down as the defensive rookie of the year award winner in the NFL this year. Wouldn't that be a great story for the 49ers? So there you go, the little breakdown of the Niners thinking from draft weekend on Mykel Williams and Alfred Collins. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. Thanks to LearnKey Upskill Academy for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krueg Show. Give a like and subscribe on your way out, And once again, thanks for supporting the Krueg Show on YouTube.